Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your host, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
I like it. We live in different Yes, we're both Ohioans.
I'm Northeast Ohio.
I'm about like South Central.
Okay, I lived in Huntington, West Virginia for a few years.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I like West
So
Virginia.
Cool. Yeah, and we're here doing this. We're in the last stretch of the regular season. We got a big story to talk about right off the bat. And to talk about said big story, we want to welcome our buddy Luke Warren from the network, who's one of the hosts of Coyote Corner.
that's right. Thank you guys for having me on.
Of
Of
course.
course, big dog. So it's been just to, we're gonna dive right into this because I don't know how long we're gonna have with you. We're gonna try to do this for only about 30-40 minutes.
Okay.
It's been a hell of a month for you guys, huh? Let's
Yeah,
put it
it's been
lightly.
it's been a bit of a wild ride for sure. The whole season, really.
Oh, we get that 100%. Just in terms of on ice.
Yeah, I mean, on ice has been when the new year started. The Coyotes were fairly competitive. I remember at one point I was posting pictures of the wild card standings, and the Coyotes were in wild card 1 and wild card 2, and then I don't know. I think we might have won 2 games in January, and after that, the tank was kind of back in play. And then now at the end of the season, the past 2 months, they've been outstanding. They've played great hockey. So it's been confusing to say the least, but I've enjoyed it this year.
As you should.
Yeah. I guess so. My first question would be like they obviously sputtered, as you mentioned, in January, and around that time, we heard more rumblings about issues with the team financially, more questions. I can't remember who it was, but I believe someone said that a player said that as soon as those things kind of came up is around the time they started to sputter. Do you put any weight into that theory that the constant turmoil and question marks off the ice affected play on the ice?
So, good question. At first, I did not. It was kind of like I said when it dropped off, which was in January. We first started, as you would say, the rumblings. We first started hearing those um, early January to mid January, and everybody was kind of, I would say, disappointed at that point of the season, just because there were so many. They're not necessarily timelines, but there were so many different dates put out regarding as to when we might hear from the organization about the arena deal or new arena deals or anything they've been working on. And come the end of December, which was one of the timelines, was before the new season, the new year, we had heard nothing. So at that point, I think was when everybody really started to settle in to the fact that this team might have nothing, that they might still kind of be stuck in the mud, that there was nothing really behind the scenes they were working on. I think in January we were in Mesa or looking at the Fiesta Mall site, or it was just like nothing concrete was around at that point. And at first, because a lot of the losses piled up from the lack of discipline. And I've never been a big supporter of Andre Tourigny, but he has done great with what he's been given. But the lack of discipline's been this way for seasons on seasons under his reign. So I contributed a lot of the losses to just, lack of discipline. The penalties, our penalty kill was good, but it seemed like 6 or 7 a game. Like it would just get up to like 20 a game in your mind. It was just constant. You'd see the too many men on ice penalties, which are the worst. But I feel like and I'm pretty sure you'd probably be able to fact check me that we probably lead the league in those. It was just a lot of
Columbus just
bonehead
had one
mistakes.
earlier tonight. Jeez, already.
It is an aggravating penalty.
It's such a. It's. Can we learn to count, please?
Yeah.
It's hard. It's just so stuff like that is just, it's demoralizing to say the least for even a fan watching it, or I'm sure the players. But um, after January is when it started to settle in for me that this was probably a deeper issue than just who we had on our roster as far as personnel went. I kind of thought the lack of veteran leadership was a big issue. This
Mhm.
team refused to designate a captain all season. It just kind of seemed like it was open in the air for someone to step up and take leadership of the team, and I feel like nobody really did. But come February, I really cemented my mind on the fact that the arena was probably a big issue. They've been super quiet about it all year, all season long. We've heard nothing. The players, sad enough, the players were shut out longer than the fans were. We
Right.
caught wind of this and news of this before the players did. So I think they were in Vancouver when they found out playing the Canucks, and we had already known, hours ahead of that time. So, and it wasn't even an organization that broke the news; it was our general manager. So it was definitely, definitely interesting. I do think the overall subject would be that the constant, you know, banter about the arena uh, probably does play a big effect on players. And I don't play hockey, but I would assume that would be a big part into why uh, the guys look pretty sluggish coming out of January.
Well, let's be fair with where we're at, just in terms of time, right? This is a very bitter, sweet time of year for both of our fan bases, where it's it's the end of the year, and we know we're not making it. And we're just kind of looking forward to summer stuff.
Right.
But for you guys in particular, I don't even like. Where do I even start with this? Because I don't want to get choked up talking about this, but it's probably gonna get me choked up.
Hold on, guys. Sorry. Dang.
As your light gives out. The
You can't
lights
make
go
this
out.
stuff up.
Well, when
You
the
can't make
lights
this
go
stuff
out,
up. I
when the
have
lights
these.
go out,
Uh,
things are bad.
I have the auto dimmer lights or whatever, and I have grown to hate them.
Oh. So gosh, where do we even start this? Um, other than just we feel awful for you guys.
Yeah, it's really hard to put into words. It's just, I
Just
think,
to address the elephant in the room.
yeah, it's tough, and I think a lot of the big uh, divide between the fan base is just it stems from the organization itself, and Morello and our Gutierrez and guys who just haven't communicated very openly with players, personnel, staff, fans, whatever you might say. It's been quiet, and we all were told prior to the season that the arena deal was happening, that we would have an arena and hockey was staying in the desert, and Bettman wanted hockey in Arizona, and it none of us really worried about it, to be honest, until we started blowing these quote unquote deadlines. And so it's more bittersweet in the aspect of how sudden this was. We're almost to the end of a season, and we just found out about this, and it's just
Yeah, over the
it
course of the last
sucks.
week, it's been a complete
Constant.
turnaround from, you know, from story to story. And let's try to lay out all the cards on the table, right? Jay and I have talked about Jay and I, for what it's worth, we love this franchise. We love the
We
players.
we used to have a joke that this outside of the Blue Jackets, the top two teams that we talked about the most were the Coyotes and the Canucks.
Yeah.
Not sure why it's happened that way, but particularly with the Coyotes, I think so. Just to put this into a little bit of perspective here, I think a lot of people, particularly in Ohio, uh, relate somewhat to the situation because, a lot of people, especially in Northeast Ohio, experienced the same thing when the Browns left for Baltimore.
Right.
And, you have to experience losing a team, I think, to kind of know it. Now, I don't have that experience. When the Browns moved away, I wasn't born yet, and I'm not a Browns fan. I'm actually a Bears fan. But I know people in the family who experienced that, and even though they got their team back 3 years later, you still that feeling you never forget it. And I think more than anything, that's kind of where I'm sitting at right now is just Arizona could have hockey again in a few years, but the reality is it's the end to an incredibly difficult to talk about era that has largely been screwing over the good people of Arizona. And more than anything, that's just all I can think about are the fans.
Right. Yeah. It's relating it even to the Browns or currently the Oakland Athletics. It's just
Yeah. At the Raiders.
it is tough.
The
The Raiders are
the
yep.
Chargers,
Those are two teams in the
It's
same
just
city. Like,
label the whole city of Oakland because the Warriors don't play there either anymore. So
right.
it's
yeah.
just it's hard. It's the end of what I would call Project One. 20 years of what was subpar hockey, a lot of ownership changes, and nothing ever seemed like it clicked in Arizona. It was just constant. It was weird, and I'm very torn about the whole thing, the whole process. I do feel like once you lose a team, you never get that same team back. So it's just
Yeah.
now that we've lost the Coyotes, I can't tell you that team two, if we get it and when we get it, it could be 10 years. Is going to have the same love and support from the community as Team One did, and especially if Morello owns the group, because
Well,
frankly, I mean, he's just not a liked
That
guy right now, and
that should be a non-option in my
well then
opinion.
let's talk about the details of this, right?
okay,
So about what would you say? Like we've known for the last like month and a half that Ryan Smith, who owns the Utah Jazz, has wanted a team.
right,
And we've also known for the last, God, 2-3 years over the course of Maruello's ownership, his primary goal on the surface was finding a permanent home in Arizona.
right, yeah,
On
But
the surface is the key. The key
yes,
there.
that's why I say
yeah.
on the
Okay,
surface.
surface, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, I know you're deliberate with that.
Um, but now we get here where we go, let's fast forward to maybe like the All-Star break, right? And Marty Walsh comes out
mm-hmm.
and puts everybody on blast. Fix this now for the players' sakes.
Yeah, it was. That's another just Marty Walsh is a prime example of where I was getting to, but Frank, another guy, just it seemed like we were so stuck in the path of that we are getting an arena and all these guys are delusional and they just hate Arizona hockey, and half of them are Canadians who just want Quebec City back, and just it's like it was like a rolling joke for months about these headlines that were coming out, and none of them were for Craig Morgan or guys who we trusted. And it turned back to bite us. Frank was right. These guys were right the whole time that, there was something deeper under the surface, as you would say, that we did not see. And we refused to believe those guys. And now we have no option. So it's definitely strange. It's been, it's been a hard last 2-3 months, especially because this team has just, it's really come together, and you're seeing our guys, our young core, Logan Cooley, Dylan Gunther, Josh Doan has been called up. And
Josh
he's
has been
been
great.
phenomenal. And like, then you start to think back, like, Josh Doan wasn't really even supposed to be a Coyote this year. Did this franchise know this, all along, and they called him up
Oh,
so he can play in Arizona
Mhm.
behind, his
that's a good
father,
question.
Shane,
That's
right?
something
Did they
that
know?
Jake haven't thought about. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, maybe they knew that.
I think they did rush that because knowing what Shane did, knowing what Shane specifically did for the Arizona portion of this franchise,
Yeah.
it's you have to have his son as a part of that.
Yeah, Josh had to play in Arizona. Had to, whether he was ready or not. And clearly, he is. It turned out to be a great call, but it's hard to just even look back on current things and think that it was just a business decision, and it's probably not. These guys probably knew about this, and yeah, none of us thought Josh Stone would have been called up, but maybe behind the scenes, these guys have known it, and I don't really know. They're playing great hockey. I mean, it's sad. It really is. The young core is phenomenal. These guys, I have no doubt these guys will go on to win a cup wherever they go. And just the flux of it. So fast
Yeah.
forward to obviously me carrying on to Salt Lake City with this team just because I want to tie this together. It's important.
Yeah, so let's go here where the details of that are um basically Maruello is selling this franchise to the league, like back to the league.
Right.
We're basically laundering franchises, which is a weird thing to say.
It is different. Yeah, it's different, and it's
Because
not
you
really
go
happened
through
like
the
that.
league and then over to the other owner, and it's like very strange that Maruello's still gonna hold the Coyotes' rights and branding.
Yes. So as of
Which
right
to
now,
me,
and
sorry, I
you're
just
fine. Go
think
ahead.
this man should not touch another sports franchise
Yeah.
ever
No,
in his
no,
lifetime.
hell no,
I have a tweet
no.
here from Jay Fresh that I'd like to read. Am I wrong, or is Alex Morales' reward for a completely dysfunctional 6-year run as owner of the Coyotes a $600 million profit? Buy the Coyotes for $300 million. Humiliate organization in athletic expose. Get kicked out of Glendale for not paying rent. Put NHL franchise in 5,000 seat college arena indefinitely. Fail repeatedly to secure new arena. Sell the Coyotes
That's
for
what
$1
it is.
billion. This guy should get pelted with eggs every time he shows his face in Arizona.
That's what
Right.
it
Yeah. I mean,
is no concrete plan to
Yeah.
find
no,
somewhere.
no.
And I'm always careful with that because, and you said this earlier, his plan, quote unquote, on the surface was to keep them in Arizona. Um, I'd say this for about at least 85 to 90% of owners. Their goal is to fucking make money.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's business. At the end of the day, it's business. They don't care about, feelings and thoughts and fans and family and staff. They don't. It's at the end of the day, if you have a chance to make a profit like that, then 9 times out of 10 they will do so. So
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
looking
yeah.
at franchise values over the last couple of years, um, we're only just ahead of the Coyotes in terms of franchise value as Columbus. It's like 880 million something
Mhm.
in total
Right.
franchise value for the Blue Jackets.
Surprised it's even that high, to be honest with you.
I mean, we do like this is the problem,
I mean,
right? Is like
that's not what I would have guessed.
we have an NHL caliber arena that does, even for a really bad team, have plenty of sellouts. And like, I'm not saying this to like rub it in any of your guys' faces. I'm just
No,
saying
Nationwide's
for
nice. I love it.
comparison's sake, right? Like,
And part of the reason is because whether people are in love with Blue Jackets ownership or not, there's just a known stability there,
yeah,
and that's something that the Coyotes haven't had. And
Right.
I hate the concept of empty seats being thrown back in a fan base's face as some sort of you know uh
Yeah, it's like
example that the fan
right.
base
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
enough
It's like
for,
some type of reasoning. It's and
and it's not.
it's not. It's like Oakland, and you'll hear me refer to the Oakland Athletics a lot because
There's a lot
I
of
think it's
similarities.
criminal.
It is.
It's a huge parallel story.
It's so criminal what they've done in Oakland. And I mean, they've directly linked their fans. And, guys aren't going to show up to a ballpark to watch a team with no major league talent.
Yeah.
But they're not going to pay their money, their hard earned money, to go watch a team that, Jeff Fisher refuses to spend money on. It's just not going to happen. So, I mean, not many people are going to show up to watch the Coyotes, lose
Yeah.
75% of their games for the last 3 seasons. It's just it's not how it works.
I know that some player, and I did this when I was up in Buffalo, like, because I went to school in Buffalo, and I'm not a Sabres fan. So, when the Sabres were bad, which, they've always been, I would go to games to see certain stars. The Oilers are in town. I want to see McDavid. The Avs are in town. I want to see McKinnon.
Obviously, anytime Columbus was in town, he would go to see. He would try to go see them.
But nobody wants to hear your fucking owner talk about a stadium. And the first thing he says is, yeah, you can see stars like Aaron Judge hit home runs in the stadium. And it's like, you're not going to name anybody on your team. You're talking about another team's star hitting home runs.
Here's where I have an issue with the Athletics comparison to a degree is Arizona has the talent.
Yeah.
You look at Nick Schmaltz, you look at Clayton Keller, you look at Karel Vejmelka, you look at these guys. And it's like,
yep. Yeah. We were 2 or 3 pieces away this season from.
You just mentioned the lack of captain. Clayton Keller is your guys' captain, de facto
right,
captain.
But they refused to, and that's another thing that just bothered me is just certain decisions and staff were just in house. I just didn't quite understand, but we were 3 or 4 guys, 2 or 3 guys maybe away from being a wild card team at this point, and that fell on the defensive side of the ice. But I mean, it was a few good defenders away from being a very competitive team. So
yes, we've seen this team make strides over the last season and a half, 2 years at this point.
It's sad, and the saddest part is the pain and suffering the last, let's just say, 3 years for Coyotes fans. It's been horrible. I mean, I remember 2020, I think this was 2022. It was just terrible hockey. I mean, I hated even watching it, not to mention covering it. It was terrible.
Right.
So it's just, and I went through that, and all the fans went through that pain and misery to get guys now that we get to watch, like Logan Cooley, like Dylan Gunther or Connor Geeky's coming up. Just it's tough. It's tough seeing everything that you've sat by and waited for finally arrive, finally look freaking amazing, and just go out the door, along with the 400 draft picks we have in the next 3 years. And it's sad. It's just like, it makes you think that all the time has been wasted, but it's not. And it's I think for all Arizona fans, it's definitely bittersweet. But a lot of the people I talk to, like I just said, it's just the suffering of the last multiple years, and now that we have these guys, it's hard not to support them. We've earned the right to do so. So, and that's the boat I'm in. So
here's my next question for you, because you keep using the word bittersweet, and I didn't necessarily want to bring up that word because I don't know how Coyotes fans feel about it. And I guess my question is, throughout the last several years, and not even just throughout the course of Morello's tenure, stems back to previous ownership groups as well. This question about finding a permanent home and having a place long term, and just the stress of every single season and having that uncertainty. Is there any part of the Coyotes fan base, like, as obviously upset as they are right now, and they have every right to be? Is anybody kind of looking at this and just saying, we can take a deep breath now? We don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, so I mean, I figured that would pop up as the term bittersweet. Something has to be sweet. So
yeah,
it's not. That's probably an exaggeration. For a lot of
We'll
people,
celebrate before you go. Believe me.
So, but yeah, I mean, back to your question, right now it's been very hard to read the fan base. Just it's still so fresh. It's it's raw in the mind. It still has yet to be publicly officially announced. So it's just
It's basically
it's
all
odd
but
time,
done except for paperwork.
right? And some press conference, right? So I mean, we've all come to grips, and you're seeing a lot of pages and podcasts and media personnel dismantle, and it's falling apart at the seams, and it's sad. But I do feel like for those who have been around the franchise long enough, it can be sweet in the aspect of this ownership group, in my opinion, sucked bad. I hated them,
Oh yeah.
and it's just am I happy that the Coyotes are leaving? No, absolutely not. I'd rather suffer through 20 terrible ownership groups and lose a team. But is it on the back end? Will it be nice to have a fresh start without 20 some years of dunnage dragging behind you and multiple different arenas, and it probably it'll be a nice restart. I feel best. I know people will probably call me crazy, but I feel best for the players. These are young guys, and they deserve to be able to focus on hockey. And they shouldn't have to be shut out in the locker room and shut out from the organization as to what's going on and wondering about their families and wondering where they go move and
They sound
everything
like
but
they'll be
hockey.
fine wherever they go.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they should be able to focus on hockey, and they weren't able to, in my opinion, fully. So it's always been a running joke. And believe it or not, Columbus fans have always been me and my partner's favorite fans to interact with.
Thank you.
Not just saying that because we're on your podcast, but it seems like you guys understand a lot. So it's yeah, it's been crazy. But I think part of this fan base, once everything settles down, will come to grips, and you know we'll see what happens from there.
Well, because we know what it's like to try to build a fan base from the ground up from a non-traditional market that sounds like it doesn't really care.
Right. Right.
And again, it goes back into what I said earlier. I would say about 35 to 40, and maybe I'm lowballing it, percent of Blue Jackets fans are Browns fans. And, just like sports cross over all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if you know what it's like, or even if you're a Bengals fan, like, obviously they hate the Browns, but nobody wants to see people lose their team. I think people in Ohio can just relate from that aspect, even if you are or aren't a Browns fan. Anytime you lose a team or witness people around you lose their team,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard not to at least somewhat understand when other people go through it, how that feels.
Well, for someone
Yeah.
like me,
Absolutely.
this is the first time I will have to go through this process because I didn't really become a hardcore fan until after the Thrashers had already moved back to Winnipeg.
Yeah, that was my first season as a hockey fan, so like I have seen the Atlanta Thrashers play a hockey game before, but when they moved to Winnipeg, my feeling at the age of 11 years old wasn't, oh man, that sucks for Atlanta. It was, oh cool, the Jets.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and if you think about the Jets, because a lot of Coyotes fans stem from old Winnipeg team,
The
and
original Jets. Yep.
it's now the team that they took over after the previous team. Now they're going through it again. So it's like some of these guys have now going on their third time of this, and it's just as a traditional fan base as a whole, it's rough. And I hope there's stability in Salt Lake. I do. It's a great city. The fans are passionate. Jazz fans are some of the best in basketball, but they're passionate. I think it's a great winter sports city, and I think they should do just fine there.
The
But
last 5 years, this is all we wanted was because when Maruello bought the team at first, we were like, oh, cool. Some guy that actually has some deep pockets that can invest
right,
in the future of this team. And
yeah,
why didn't you?
looks
Looks good on you.
Yeah, it looks horrible. It's just, yeah. I mean, you can't even pay your hotel bills now. It just came out, I guess, that they have
Couldn't pay the
hotel
hotel
debt.
bills, had to be forced to do so.
I mean, I I'd imagine the league got tired of it, and the multiple plans that have failed. I think I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I think there was over 29 different sites looked at for the Coyotes to relocate to in-state to build a new arena, and all 29 failed. So I
Well,
mean, it's
the
just
fact that Maruella just keeps coming out like, no, I have a plan now, and it's like, oh, do you?
yeah,
Yeah.
really, you're 0 for 28, bud. Like, I mean, what? Well, that's just it's been a mess, and he's a mess, and I don't even now everything's a joke. The social media teams just quit. Everybody's saying his son runs it.
I was
So,
gonna say, I don't know how much of a truth there is to that.
yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff, and this is what I hate most about this is just there's so much stuff flying over the air, and something got released on Reddit today that the future Utah hockey team owner was pumping money into the no vote for Tempe Arena. So
Oh,
just just all kinds of stuff flowing around, and you don't know what's true and you don't know what's false, and it's a mess. And I'm ready for the league to end it. I really am. One way or the other, I'm ready for it to be done because I'm just tired of sitting here and it's like they're just dangling you on a little thread. It's just a lot of us just want to rip the band-aid off and figure out what's going on and how long this has been a thing and what the plan is for the future, including the Roadrunners organization, because
right.
that's big now too. Are
And
you
there
kidding
goes
me?
your light again.
So yeah, Roadrunners. It's we'll be the only hockey left. So
And they're
that's
saying
a
that
big
the
thing.
Roadrunners might stay the AHL affiliate for the Utah franchise,
It's
or that they might move into Mullet to play. Like,
right. Yeah, it's multiple. Nobody knows. And that's just like it's hard to know whether things are just speculation purely or there's some merit behind them. Just because we have been so shut out as a fan base, and it's sad because if you look at once again, here's the Oakland Athletics. As much as I hate Fisher, they've been relatively open about their plans all along.
mhm.
It was very easy to see through the signs that Oakland was moving to Las Vegas eventually. So here it hasn't been that easy. They've whether you want to call it lied to us, I don't think that's the truth. But we've been smoke showed for years about an arena, and it's all clear to us. So it's going to be interesting to say the least if Morello owns the Roadrunners, what kind of support he will get in Arizona. Um, eh, my guess in that would be it'd be very marginal. So, in my opinion, I think they'll probably sell, or he might sell that team alongside the Coyotes as sort of like a package deal per se.
Y'all deserve a team to support. You really do.
Right. No,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I agree. But I guess my question would be if the Roadrunners stay, whether that's playing where they play now or playing in Mullet, does that weirdly almost feel like a slap in the face?
yeah. So I mean, yes and no. So on the yes side of that, clearly, like I said earlier, if the current ownership uh, continues owning Tucson, um, it's directly it just feels wrong to go sit in an arena with a team owned by the guy that just sold your lifeline. So
Mhm.
it's inherently that would be wrong, and it would take them a very long time. Um, and it's even worse because if you look at youth hockey in America, it's there's talent that comes from Arizona, immense
Oh
talent,
yeah.
and they've been top 10, they were top 5 for years, and it's sad because all the funding for you're seeing groups of youth women's hockey and men's hockey just they're
I mean, just
losing their funding. So
look at the NHL talent that's been produced. Tage Thompson, Austin Matthews, Matthew
right,
Nyes.
Yeah.
There's plenty of talent coming out of Arizona as a state.
Yeah. And
and
you
it
look
wouldn't
at
be like that if the Coyotes weren't around. That
Exactly.
hockey wasn't a thing, so it's sad. It definitely
and think
is.
about the rise of Arizona State hockey
The Kachucks were born in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. ASU will be fun for a while. I think.
Oh,
I think a lot of people have switched to covering ASU that were prior Yotes, but
that might be the move.
Just cover ASU.
Look,
Maybe
at ASU. It's a fun program. They've obviously invested the money, and it's cool, especially like college hockey in general gets very scattered coverage.
Oh yeah,
So
it does.
I guess this is the one. I don't know if I want to say the word positive of this, but I guess a silver lining maybe
Mhm.
is a lot of the kids who are doing what they can to expand that program and make it better, and they have done such an unbelievable job over the years. Uh, they'll get more credit, they'll get more attention that they deserve. They won't be overshadowed by the team that's been forced to play in their arena.
Right, and I mean now they have a super nice barn because of it. So I mean,
Yeah.
the mullet is very nice for a college team. You know
Oh,
what I
you
mean?
guys are gonna like. I know we're posting this the day, probably the day of the final game.
Mm-hmm.
That barn is gonna blow its roof off.
Right, and outside the arena now is there's supposed to be a massive gathering per se outside the arena, and it's supposed to be a wide out. And, they're trying to send them off the right way, and it's confusing because like, how bad and embarrassing it would be if this didn't go through and we just did this final farewell send off. I think about it all the time. I'm like, it's really crazy to do
For
that, and
nothing, like
still, yeah, it's still you have nobody from the NHL that has seriously came out and said, yeah, we're having a press conference on Friday, and your team is gone, and here we are, like saying our goodbyes already. I guess because it's just written in stone, but it'll be a crazy, crazy night tomorrow night for sure. I wish I could be there, but I'm not paying $1,000 to go, so
oh,
not doing it.
Nor should you.
no. And I mean, obviously, we're gonna keep tabs on everything that happens continuing with this. And it's such a strange ride to go through and cover a relocation like this.
Right. And I mean, the hardest thing for me has just been trying to stay as unbiased as possible because we don't have many facts yet. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of it's speculation, and we don't really know. A lot of the basis of what we have is that this team is going to Salt Lake City, um, and that's really the only thing that's set in stone, in my opinion. Is we will go to Salt Lake, we will play in the Delta Center where the Jazz play.
Right. And the sight lines aren't going to be, it's going to be very like the
It's gonna be
Islanders and
Islanders,
Barclays.
Barclays, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, right, yeah. There's very, very like few what I would call great seats. I mean, a lot of it's limited viewing. It's definitely not the ideal, which is where I begin to think like I think Salt Lake City is an amazing city for hockey, but
It'll be
I
fine.
begin to think maybe an expansion team was more for them as far as their future. I know I've spoke to lots of Salt Lake City folks. I'll be on Fox 13 in Salt Lake City tomorrow night.
Oh,
But they're very supportive, and they're super excited to get rolling with Salt Lake. So
well,
it should be crazy.
This whole saga is what Jay thought from at least the last couple of weeks to begin with. That, you relocate these guys and then put them at the front of the line to get a new team.
Yeah, and I'm curious if that's going to be structured in this, in this cell. If Morello, if he
Yeah.
can somehow go and bid and win this land auction he's talking about, and get an arena built in the next 3 or 4 years, if he will be first in line for an expansion team to Arizona, and if he will be the owner of that team, because once again I truly believe a lot of Arizona fans, past, current, future, aren't going to support a team owned by him. So
No, it shouldn't be him. Even
Right.
like us as other hockey fans, we know it shouldn't be him.
No, yeah, I mean it's tough. It's like, do I want the team to come back to Arizona eventually? Yeah. Under his ownership, no. I won't be a fan. I will not cheer for him. I won't do it. I don't care how much I miss hockey in Arizona. It won't be a team owned by him. So and I know a lot of fans do feel that way. So I hope that if it does happen, it is structured, it happens the right way, and they give it to an ownership group who will care. Per se,
Ishbia, please.
Right, right. Been screaming it from the mountaintops for years now, but I hope.
Snoop
I
Dogg.
hope we can hope.
Snoop, yeah, please.
Yeah,
That'd
I
be
mean
great.
somebody besides this guy. You know what I mean? It's. But I mean, I'm fully committed to Salt Lake City. I fell in love with the staff with Bill Armstrong and his strategies, and
Oh,
you know,
Bill's a great GM.
it's gonna be so nice, and he's gonna have money. He's gonna have a cap floor to actually hit. So like he's gonna kind of get the green
Yeah.
light to really build around these core guys. It's gonna be really fun.
Well,
That
then
team could be
let's
very competitive.
before we let you go, let's talk about these positives, right? So like what are you looking forward to when it comes to going to Salt Lake? What do you want to see for an identity in terms of branding and stuff?
Right?
And
Yeah.
and then you've been a fan of this Coyotes team what as long as you've been around, I would think.
Um, as long as I've been a fan of hockey, I didn't really
Right.
get into hockey till, it's been a little bit over 7 years or so, something like that. But
So
since I got
similar
into
timeline to
hockey,
me.
right?
So like yeah, so I want you to just gush, reminisce, man, like the good
Yeah.
times.
So, I mean, as far as positives moving forward, I would definitely say number one is just, as I've mentioned, is new ownership. I'm excited to see what our core can do with an ownership group and a staff behind them that cares and wants to put them in winning scenarios. I think they've earned that. I think, guys like Clayton Keller, who've played in Arizona their whole career, have earned the, chance to go play for somebody different who values their career and, putting them in winning situations. So I'm excited to see a lot of these guys get the chance to go win immediately because that, truthfully, I really do believe the new ownership is looking to win and win out of the gate because they have the core to do so. They have the money. They have, I think $20 odd million to spend just to hit the cap floor. Um, so it'll be nice.
And
And
they have the draft
another
capital to
positive.
build on it too.
Oh God, I mean, I forget what it is. I can pull it up really quick. I just saw it today. Um, yeah, they have 10 second round picks in the next 3 years, 7 third round picks. I mean, it's just it's sad to see it go, but I mean, if you're a Salt Lake fan, I mean, you're set. You're set. I mean, future wise, young talent wise, and the ability to go spend money on veterans to surround these guys with, it's going to be really fun. So that's a positive for sure. Is I think this team will be competitive, and it'll be competitive right out of the gate. So um, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to guys like Cooley and Gunther and Keller. A lot of them won't make it. I know Doan's not really contracted, so a lot of these guys are still up in the air, which is
That whole
a negative.
defense doesn't have a contract. Which
Yeah,
is weird.
get rid of them. I don't care. I mean, they're just
I don't know. Keep a guy like Dermott. I like him.
Sean Thursey. I mean, has his moments. JJ Moser,
Like
awesome.
JJ.
Um,
Build around a guy like
Kesselring,
Michelli.
yeah. So they have some guys, but I think a lot of the veteran and on older players you see on this Coyotes team won't make the trip. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just don't. I don't see it, and they shouldn't. If we're being fair, the Coyotes have been cap killers. They love to fill cap with dead space. I like to say with guys who just Matt Dumba and
Shea Weber, Jakub Voracek's
yeah,
contract.
the list is so long. So I mean, it'll be pretty empty. I think in Salt Lake City when they really start getting into free agency. So
Just let them
it should
start
be
fresh.
interesting.
Just let them start fresh. Utah Yetis, what do you think?
I love it. I know it's a bit. I've heard some people say it's a tad childish or it's a tad comical. I really, and I've said this to my partner thousands of times in the last week, they really have to knock it out of the park on this. Have to.
The
Because
branding, right?
whether you love Arizona or you hate Arizona, the jerseys, the logo, the branding, how regional it was, how cultural it
But it's
was.
perfect. It's so good. It's some of the best the league's had in terms of just
It's
graphic design.
the Kachina. I mean, it was immaculate. It really was. I mean,
And I really liked the
culturally,
Howler too, and as
yeah,
much as
Howler's
others
awesome.
didn't. And then y'all had the perfect fucking goal song with the Black Keys. Come on, like
We do. I mean, it was good, man. I mean, I think they do need to knock it out of the park, and it needs to be something different. And I really hope um, for the folks in Utah that it's something regional and something that means something to the folks who live there, like some of this significance of our branding did to the folks in Arizona. Just how local and cultural, and it allows you to connect with the team a little bit deeper when you talk about a name that's deep rooted in history. So
you
I hope
talk
they
about a
do
Keith
something.
Kachuk, you talk about,
Yeah,
a Shane Doan, you talk about
Jeremy
Mike
Roenick, and it
Jeremy
just
Roenick, Mike Smith, guys that played there for a really, really long time that were amazing players for him.
it's deep rooted, and I hope Utah kills it on the branding. The Yetis are cool. I've heard the black diamonds going
Ooh.
around because it ties into their skiing culture.
Hmm.
The black diamonds, the black diamonds, the hardest slope to ski or something like that. I've heard all kinds of stuff, but if I had my choice, it'd be the Yetis, just because you could do so much cool things with that, man, logo wise and
Yeah.
jersey
I
wise.
also think like in terms of like jersey design and just overall aesthetic, they don't have to deviate too far from the Coyotes concept with the Yetis. And I also think
Right.
that hearing anybody make the argument about Yetis being a childish quote unquote uh name or logo, we just introduced a team like 2 years ago called the Kraken.
Yeah.
Like,
The Golden Knights, and look at what
hey,
they
like
it's like.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
want to hear it.
And I mean, like, my
No.
one of my favorite things to do when I would play Chell is to make like 6 different custom teams and just like play them all as one league and just think of ideas for that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Always loved creating teams and making it fun. So make it
I hope
fun.
it is the Yetis. Damn it, that's a fun name.
And like even though it doesn't have like the UU thing, it just has the sound to it. So it's got the
Right.
alliteration even if you don't
It flows.
see it visually.
Mm-hmm.
It flows.
Utah Yetis. Yeah.
It's been a hell of a ride for these guys, and I don't know. It's hard to see them go, but it's also kind of like it's been time.
Right.
They
Yeah.
say if you love something, let it go.
Right. Yeah, I
I
mean
guess.
it's been
This
past
is
time, man.
gospel.
I guess.
I think after
I don't even know
Glendale it
what
was
to
past
say.
time.
It sucks. It really sucks.
Yeah.
But you are talking to one of the few that have already came out openly, and we are excited to move to Salt Lake. We're gonna take our coverage into Salt Lake and stay with these guys and this management team, and we're ready for a new path and new road. As much as it stings now, I'm sure watching Cooley and our boys be somewhere where they're appreciated more. You know, I
That
can't
should
wait.
help.
So
That should help.
it should.
Like
It's more
if
healthy there, you know.
if you're and this is coming from a guy whose sports teams are relatively stable. Um Go follow him. Go stick with him. If you're really, if you're invested in these players and in the success of these guys as individuals, go follow this franchise. Stick with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think it's a
I
great way
100%
to stick it to Marijuana too, is, show them the support that you have this entire time. This could have worked in Arizona. It should have worked in Arizona,
Right.
but you get a dipshit owner, and that's that, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope our fan base, if they take one thing from where I'm at in this endeavor so far, is just, it wasn't the players' fault. This has nothing to do with our players. If anything, they've came to the rink every day, getting better, progressing as the season goes on, while handling all this on the side. They're amazing guys. It's an amazing group, and Salt Lake City is getting a hell of a core. So.
Yeah.
I can't help but watch. It's going to be super fun. I have a feeling so.
Well, I hate to send you off like this,
Yeah.
but we appreciate you coming on to, tell the story. I'm pretty sure we've covered everything at this point, right?
Can I we'll end it on one last final question, I suppose, to maybe leave it on a happier note. Of the entire time as a fan of this team, what has been truly your favorite moment as a fan of the Coyotes? And it could be meeting other fans, or maybe a moment with the team in general. What sticks out to you as I'm always going to remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'll give you guys three because that's you were talking.
Perfect.
I had three just popped right in my mind, so that's where I'll go. It's one would definitely be the contributions we were able to make to youth hockey in Arizona. Um, we got far enough along to where we could donate and be a part of these teams, and kind of be in depth with these teams a little bit and watch them. And it was really cool to be able to do that. I've never been able to be a part of something like that. It was nice to be within the culture of hockey and how it was growing in Arizona and be a part of it. So I was truly thankful to be able to have the means to do so. Two would definitely be Josh Stone's first NHL goal. I think for everybody was just.
You're welcome.
It's just right, but it was
Gosh.
just too. It was too amazing. I mean, it's just you're looking at a bloodline, and Josh Stone, who's been at ASU, and he's been local, and we've all been watching him at ASU, and he came to Tucson, and then he's in Arizona scoring goals now. So it's
And his dad being
amazing to
the
see.
legend for the team, right?
Right, it's amazing to see. It really is. It's really cool, and I'm glad he got the chance to share that experience with Shane in Arizona. So
Mhm.
that was awesome. And three, oh man, it's like a tie. It's a tie, but I'll go with I think it was 2022. Man, I've said 2022 twice because that season was miserable. But I think it was after we lost 9 or 10 straight to start the season,
Mm-hmm.
and we came back home and we beat the Kraken. Um, and it was, I don't know, something about it. Like it was just so miserable. And then the game winner, because it was just back and forth and back and forth. And I think that the game winning goal was probably one of my happiest in game moments as a fan. It was nice. And at that point you're 1 in 10. So what's it matter? But so,
I don't know.
but yeah,
Ask
I
a
mean,
Sharks fan what that's like.
gosh, you know,
Brother, we're three
I,
Penguin fans. Let's not pull rank here.
So, I'm sorry.
I, I know some Coyotes fans that are now Sharks fans. So,
Oh, that's a tough switch.
yeah, go enjoy more misery, I guess. But
Mm.
you know, what's that's yeah, that's congratulations on dang, what's his name, man? I saw it live. I was watching the Blue Jackets before I came home.
Oh, Luca?
Yeah, that's who it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. It's got some what's his full name?
Luca
Luca
Del
Del
Belbaluz. Yeah.
Yeah,
LDBB.
yeah. Congratulations to that guy. First NHL goal. That's awesome,
And
man.
we're excited for
I love seeing the first goals.
Yeah.
Gavin too, in the future. But yeah, Luke Warren from Coyote Corner, which soon might get a rebrand of their own.
We're under construction. We're waiting for the
Ah,
rebrand. So
you're waiting for your own new arena, right? Go
that's
ahead.
right.
Plug away, and let's get you out of here really quick.
Sounds good. Thank you guys.
Okay, sorry, that was a weird glitch. Yeah, so you were gonna
Just
plug your
went-
stuff before you went?
I disappeared, man. At the coolest part of the show. Just kidding. But yeah, I don't know what happened there. My lights, everything is just, I don't know. Must be like the ghost of the Coyotes or something storming me.
Ooh,
Something crazy. I don't know, but yeah. So we are under construction. We will be back up running podcasts with the Hockey Podcast Network under a new name. We'll be affiliated with Salt Lake City. If it's the Yetis, we already have some great podcast names, aligned with that. But the whole page will look different. Hopefully, the name gets going and we can stop being in between Arizona and Salt Lake. But it's been fun, and hope you guys are ready to see what we've got in store, because it's gonna be a wild ride for us and the new market.
Yeah.
so you still follow Coyote Corner for everything, right?
Yeah, so Coyote Corner for now until we know what Salt Lake City is looking
And
like.
that's the Twitter. Do you guys have like an Instagram, a Facebook page, things like that?
We did have Instagram, but we're off Instagram. Twitter was just too. Something about Twitter is just so amazing, man. Or X.
Just
Well,
community access, I think.
Yeah.
It's too good.
Community
It's too
access
good.
is a lot better on Twitter. Yeah, to be fair.
But yeah, so we'll be backing up and running podcasts as soon as we find out for sure what's going on. So
But keep up and go ahead and follow Coyote Corner to stick with the ride.
Exactly.
absolutely, don't lose the name in between. That's my biggest fear.
Luke,
Yeah.
thank you so much, dude. We appreciate
man.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate you.
Well, that was nice. We needed that.
Yeah.
We needed to cover that story, and we really, really wanted a Coyotes voice on that.
Gave a unique perspective.
So thank you so much, Luke. You were a great guest to have. And now we gotta mow through the rest of this.
Oh, good. Yay.
We know the season's moved fast. We know this game that's currently going on is moving by pretty fast. But with our buddies at DraftKings Sportsbook for our Kepi Keeper, last Kepi Keeper of the year, you can score faster than anything that's happening on the ice. New customers bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets right away. So if you want to bet on you can bet on that Coyotes game.
You can, yeah.
Bet on the last game and mullet. Let's just make that a special bet to look at, right? Obviously, we talked about guys like Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz and Logan Cooley, guys that have a chance to score. You have over-under on saves. For the goaltenders, you have plenty of same-game parlays. And there it is. Oh, boy. It's against the Oilers. Oh, boy. What better way to end an era?
I'm in danger.
What better way to end an era than to play a little bit of spoiler, though, right?
I suppose. Depends on how you define spoiler.
The money lines for this is a minus 205 for Connor McDavid and his band of merry men. By the way, congrats to Connor for reaching 100 assists. Holy shit.
Yeah, that was a cool thing that he did that I'm sure he'll do again in his career.
I mean, yeah, Gretzky did 11 times. What? This just shows you how goofy he was. And the Coyotes, if you want to go sentimental, take the Coyotes. If you really, truly believe, I would also take the Coyotes because they're going to show out for this last game.
I 100% believe it. Yeah.
They're a plus 170.
Love it.
Bet on Coyotes and Oilers, and you can bet on playoff games when they start rolling around. And all you got to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app with code THPN. Oh my goodness. New customers bet just $5 on the NHL and get 200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or visit text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2024, all rights reserved. Okay, that was my last ad read for the regular season. And let me get over to this chart really quick. So do you want to go first?
Yeah, it's easy. Live, Kepi, first NHL goal, LDBB, Luca Del Belbaluz.
I think we got to do it. We got to do it. First goal on what? His second shift on his first shot.
Yeah.
Family present. He jailbreak goal coming straight out of the penalty box. Dude.
Yeah.
That's a really special goal to have.
It's cool as hell.
And I will say, I want to give a big shout out to Gavin Brindley as well, making his NHL debut, big number 45.
He's going to be a big part of the Monsters run here, isn't he?
I don't think Gavin can join them. Can he?
I thought he's able to sign an ATO to sign them to play with them.
Oh, that's right. I think he gets a PTO.
Yeah.
For the rest of the year. So
that stuff always confused me, so I'll have to see, but I'm pretty sure part of the pitch having him come would be to be a part of the Monsters
the
run.
playoff run, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I bet Luca will go back down there and go for it because he's been playing really well down there with the Monsters. So we'll see what those kids can do on that rush and on that push. So, a little bit of a rapid fire game with that being the last one of the year for the regular season. We're going to go over the chart really quick and see how guys fared.
Sounds good.
First of all, I want to go over the special ones and the ones where we had guests on, whether that was, replacing you or joining us.
Yeah.
You gave one to fifth liners. You gave one to the whole fan base when we were going through a weird controversy with another podcast and fan base.
Oh, wasn't that our own? Wasn't that like a podcast with the Blue Jackets?
That was a Blue Jackets podcast. Yeah.
Yes.
And you gave it to the fans for like matching donations for Patrick Laine's foundation.
Yeah, it was
because it was based around a Patrick Laine story.
Yes. Someone making a terrible reference. Yeah. Blue Jackets fans deserve it. It's been a rough 2 seasons, but they consistently, I believe, show how much they care about the players, about the community. Yeah, deserved.
I gave one right off the bat. My first Kepi of the year was to Jeff Rimmer for this being his farewell tour.
Yeah, I guess
we'll talk about Jeff later. Towards the end
tonight, but yeah, we'll talk about him later. So
yeah, we'll be sure to give Jeff way more flowers because he deserves all the flowers. Lance, when he was here for the first show of the regular season, his Kepi went to Jake Bean for scoring the first goal of the year.
That's a funny memory to unlock.
Right. When we had Cowboy Keeper, when we had Jordan and Taylor from
Yeah,
Two Girls, One Stanley Cup, which sadly the Scuppers are no more. Like Jordan and Taylor are still around,
yeah.
but their show is gone, and I'm sad
Oh, damn.
because yeah, they just couldn't record for a long time, and they decided let's just shut the show down.
That makes me really sad.
Which
I'm
is a
happy that
shame.
we,
They're great girls.
yeah,
They're
they're
great fans.
yeah, they're fantastic. I mean, I'm glad we got them on when we did.
You can
Uh,
go watch our show with them, obviously. Like it's there in our
Yeah.
Friends of the Show playlist.
Yes, yeah,
But they gave theirs to Wyatt Johnston for their
Yeah.
game against the Bruins. And then Jordan also gave a shout out to Nate Lowe for the World Series.
the fair play. Yeah,
We both gave one to Jet.
start the
or
Jets, baby.
Start the Jets. And I want to say that was his first call up when he
Mhm.
got that for his first win, right?
Yeah,
Friend of the show, Dylan Tyre, gave his to Cole Sillinger for just being a stud
yeah.
because he really showed up way more this year than like he
He
just
restored a lot of hope.
yes, he restored a lot of faith and a lot of his own confidence this year.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt about it.
And that's basically why Dylan gave it. Because he'd just been playing like Cole.
Yeah,
I gave one to Ross Bjork for finally giving us a freaking outdoor game.
Oh, that's right, right. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
And then obviously we both give one to Luca tonight for that unbelievable goal scored tonight. So yours, just going through, oh my gosh, there's a lot of blank spaces here. Just considering the season we had.
Yeah.
Cole, I'll just go down the player list. Cole got one from each of us.
Mhm.
Corrali didn't get anything.
Very quiet season for him.
Very quiet season for Sean. Fantilli didn't get anything, but the injury happened, and very shocked we didn't just give him one for just being Adam Fantilli.
Crazy. I think sometimes we're so worried about not going after the mainstream thing that we don't always go for.
Yeah, we definitely go for more. We went for a lot of hipster picks this year, which brings up no Johnny. I know Johnny only scored 11 goals this year. Well, 12 if you count tonight. He's got 12 tonight. But he's still he's turning back into the Johnny that we know that he can be.
Playing better as of late, yeah. Still not a notable season by any metrics for him. As much as I love the guy, and
a lot of mix-ups with line mates, and that's a big part of it.
Yeah, but he's also got to be better.
Yeah. Nothing for Danny, as much as Justin Danforth showed that he could play this year.
Yeah.
Nothing for Patrick, and we know the stories around Patrick Laine.
Yeah.
Which is just a shame.
Yeah.
Nothing for Boone. Nothing for the captain.
He missed a lot of time.
I think we gave a lot of honorary stuff to these guys, but just never put them as actual tick marks.
You're going to see hilarious names that have multiple.
Yeah.
I can't wait till we get to Eric and Branson, and it's like, he got 5 from you, Jay.
Alex Texier only got the 1 from me when he scored his first goal of the year. And which was a beauty. It was a great goal.
We're going down the line, and you're naming all these players, and I'm like, I don't not a lot of notable moments for these guys.
Right.
So I'm not regretting it too much, to be honest with you.
We'll just fast forward between these two guys, Eric Robinson and Emil Bemstrom, because they're gone. Right?
Emil Bemstrom will get a Kepi when he scores a hat trick.
When he scores the hat trick tomorrow. Kirill Marchenko got 3 from me just for being lights out. Yes. Magical. When I saw him score that goal in person, oh my God.
I don't think I picked him this year. I don't think I picked him this year because you kept fucking picking him.
And then when he scored that one from behind the net recently, that was just
Jesus
like,
Christ.
it was brilliant. KJ got one, and it was from me. For I
Did
want
I
to say,
give out any Kepis this season?
not really. You didn't like giving out them. You didn't like it. Actually, you were a
No,
big,
of course not. We have 26 wins this season. Of course I didn't like giving out awards.
you hoarded a lot of guys.
I did.
You hoarded like you stuck
I'm well
with
aware.
you
I'm
stuck
well
with
aware. Come on.
stuck with a core of guys. Um, Rosie didn't get anything, even though he played some of the best hockey of his career this year.
Uh, Some of the best hockey in his career. Give me a break.
I mean, it
Not a notable moment. I couldn't remember yet.
nothing notable, but like he still played extremely like very well for what we've wanted out of him, and we wish him the best of luck in New York.
I wish him the best of luck, but I don't know. I'm not willing to say that he played that great this year.
You gave one to Matthew Olivier for fighting Garnet Hathaway.
Yes, I did.
Peak got nothing
Fuck no, of course he didn't. He was
because of
terrible.
course I gave one to Zach for I want to say it was just getting a monkey off his back after coming away or coming back injured
Yeah.
and finally scoring one. I gave one to Ivan Provorov for his first goal as a Blue Jacket because it was a pretty sweet goal.
Yeah.
I also gave one to Jake Bean. I actually can't remember why.
Well, didn't you say it earlier? He scored the first goal of the year.
That
Or is
wasn't for me. That was Lance.
Yeah.
I can't remember why I gave one to Jake, and that makes me feel weird because like
If the
now
starting
it's like
lineup for the Blue Jackets has Jake Bean on defense and Jet Greaves in goal, does that mean they're Beanie in the Jets?
Beanie and the Jet. I like that. Can we make that the episode title?
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe we should. No, we should make it something Coyotes related for sure. I think.
Yeah, that probably makes more sense than
Yeah.
like a second joke that I made.
Than some weird joke in Kepis. Adam Boakfist didn't get anything. He was a little too injured for that.
Has he played this year? I can't remember.
He played a decent handful, but like meh.
Yeah, he can go as far as I'm concerned.
Eric Goodbranson has two Kepis, and they were both from you.
I'm surprised it's not more. I'm surprised it's not more. He actually had a good season, man. He had another
Yeah,
assist tonight. He had another assist tonight.
I know. And he stuck up for guys. He played really well defensively this year.
Yeah, it's the best season he's had defensively in such a long time.
Had a career year in points.
24 points, man. No, Eric Branson legitimately had a good year for the Blue Jackets. So credit where credit's due. I'll give it all day.
Damon Severson had 3, and they all came from you, shockingly. I'm surprised I didn't give anything to Damon, to be honest with you.
I know he's had his bad moments this season for sure, but
we've loved his first year here.
I like him as a player, and I definitely think part of my appreciation for him is counteracting, I think, the people who missed the boat on him.
That's fair. Because we know he was kind of a coveted guy.
Yeah, I think sometimes when people view someone as a net negative, they refuse to accept their positives, and sometimes when people view someone as a net positive, they refuse to acknowledge the negatives. I try my best to be in the middle on that. I know that he's had some terrible moments this season, but I also think he's had some pretty good games too, and I think he's a good part of this core moving forward. They just have to find a coach
That works with them.
That works with them, no doubt.
And I mean, like, part of that too, like, I loved shouting Damon out when I could, but I'm just surprised I never actually gave him a Kepi.
I think it's the inverse of Kirill Marchenko. You never gave him a Kepi because I kept using mine on him.
Oh, right, yeah.
So, I think it's what it is, if I'm being honest with you.
That's very fair. Elvis got 3, and they all came from you.
He had some moments this season. I know
He had a few really good moments, despite the drama surrounding him. Partially wanting out. And
not a good season, but there were moments, and at least in those moments, there was hope.
And he deserved his recognition.
He deserved recognition, yeah.
I gave one to Spencer Martin at the beginning of the year.
That's so fucking depressing. Jesus Christ.
Can we give one to him now for letting in
What,
2
giving us
goals
a
on
meaningless win at the end of the season?
for giving up
Thanks,
2
Spencer.
goals on 2 shots? Thanks, Spence.
Thanks, Spencer. Very cool.
I gave one to Daniil Tarasov for a really, really solid performance against Nashville.
I'm surprised
And
he
honestly,
hasn't more, to be honest with you.
yeah, because for a while he was pushing for the job.
Yeah. Well, I think he's still pushing for the job, to be honest with you.
I think
Even
he should.
Yeah.
He should.
Yeah.
David Jiricek didn't get anything. Basically,
Really fucking played.
yeah, he barely played, and he got mad because we didn't know whether he was going to stay or whether he was going to keep getting yo-yoed.
Jerking him around. Yeah, no.
They just kept dragging him up and down the interstate. Like, it was just,
That irritated me.
that really irritated me, especially because you knew early on in the season when you had Provorov and Jiricek together, it worked.
Yeah.
And it worked beautifully.
That was the best hockey we saw from Provorov this season, in my opinion, was when he was playing with Jack. And then, I don't know.
Z and Severson worked fairly well, I think.
Yeah.
Like, they were a really solid pair together, and then Bean and Goodbranson, well, that's Bean and Goodbranson.
Yeah, I mean, that's
So,
Jake.
like, you just...
Jake Bean getting carried by a number 1 defenseman. I mean...
we both gave Chinny one.
Yeah.
Because, like, back when that when that Russian line was really, really, really clicking.
That might be the only reason he doesn't have more, is because the other Russians were taking up Kepis.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
He broke out in a big way with how much his shot improved and how much his accuracy improved as a goal scorer.
Mm-hmm.
But then he got hurt.
He's very much been the third wheel of that line, and like he's played well. But I think because everybody loves Kirill Marchenko, he's the goal scorer who's,
he's kind of the face of it, right?
He's the face of it, and then people are excited about Dmitry Voronkov. He's big, but also they're surprised by Dmitry Voronkov
and how much skill he has
immediately. So I think because of that, those two guys have gotten the most attention. And Chinikov, I don't want to say he's been forgotten, but maybe a little overshadowed by the other two.
Yes.
He's had a good season. He has restored a lot of hope.
He's got he, for a while, we didn't know. He was another one of those guys on the fence, like,
what is this guy?
What do we do with him? And then he brought it.
Yeah, and that's the Liam Foudy fence, isn't it? Where you're not sure, and you're just hoping that they start to show out a little bit. And I guess that's the one positive of the season for the Blue Jackets is that.
Let's be fair, we had more faith in Yegor than we did in Liam Foudy.
Yeah, well, I don't necessarily mean like in terms of the podcast, because I would mean it in terms of like we for a while wanted the Blue Jackets to call up Liam Foudy, right? And then after like 40 games, we were like, okay, we get it now.
Right, exactly.
But, when we were still in that stage of wanting him to come up because we wanted to see what we had, I think that's kind of the stage that I came into the season with Cole Sillinger and Yegor Chinikov in a little bit, where I'm like, I don't know, and I'm a little nervous, but we have to rip the Band-Aid off, and
we have to find out what we have, right?
We there's a lot of hope left.
Yes.
So it's positive.
Jordan Dumais, who made the opening roster, obviously didn't get anything because eventually we found out he was a dumbass.
Yeah.
We never talked about the story, and we're not going to go into the story. Because I'm pretty sure he was the one that got caught for DUI, right?
Yes.
But, yeah. So, wipe that off the slate, I guess, right? Neither did Blanks, even though Blanks has played well since he finally got his call up.
Yeah, he didn't get anything because he hasn't played much.
He barely had time up there
to call him up.
Yeah.
So
that's why. And then Dimitri got 3. He got 1 from you and 2 from me.
Yeah.
One of those from me was just from him in his debut fighting Arbor Jacki and just being a monster. Because that kid went from being like, yeah, he'll be a decent like fourth line grinder option net
yeah.
front dude to like, no, he's net front on the second line. He is stapled to that second line.
That's literally what I said like all off season. I was like, I expect this guy to be a really solid bottom six contributor at the center position. And now within a matter of a season, I'm like, actually, he's Boone Jenner.
Yeah, he's Boone Jenner light. Or
I don't even know if I'm going to say light. I think,
Boone Jenner heavy.
yeah, I think he'd be better.
Oh my God, we beat the Hurricanes 6-3.
Let's go to the last goal.
I don't know.
Please be Erica Branson. It'd be really funny if it was.
It would be funny. I can look as quickly as possible. Doopa loading it up.
No, Zach.
Oh, it was Zach. Good for Zach. And again, 301 career NHL points for Zach Werenski now. And the season on a big milestone note for Z, right? You want to
Yeah.
know? You want to know another big reason why I don't think Yegor and a lot of these guys got a lot of love?
Dude, Zach had 4 points tonight.
Good for Zach. The big reason why I think a lot of these guys didn't get as much love as they should have. We fell in love with Alex Nylander.
He scored tonight.
Yeah, he did. He got 2 from you and 1 from me over the course of the year.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's funny because he went into that other Liam Foudy category for so many different teams, and then he strangely came to the Blue Jackets of all teams and got himself out of that.
Got unlocked.
Yeah,
Hat trick, like he scored 2 hat tricks with us, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
and he scored 11 goals in his first 8 games or something like that, which is a franchise record for a guy in his first 8 games with the team.
No, he has 11 goals this season, so it wouldn't have
11 goals this season. So maybe it was 8 in his first 11 or something like that. It was like,
yeah,
it was a franchise record though for a guy coming to join the team.
I want to say it was 8 in his first 11, but also 7 in his first 8, if I'm not mistaken.
I really want to keep this kid.
Yeah.
Really want to keep this kid.
Yeah, I think they will. I mean, and if you're Alex Nylander, why would you leave?
Right. You've had the most success here out of anybody.
Yeah.
Out of any team you've been on.
Something's finally sparking, if it ain't broke, why fix it,
Right, exactly. But yeah, that's our 2023-24 Kepi Keeper season. And we'll see where that goes with playoff Kepis, right? Just to get our ad reads in.
Yeah, definitely.
So moving on to the league stuff. Donnie Meatballs is gone.
Yeah.
The Don is gone.
I think they needed a little bit of a change. I think he served his purpose. I don't think he was at all a bad coach for the Sabres, but I think they're kind of at their point where they're not making that jump that they're so desperate to make. And I think this is what I'm saying. Hey, like, we appreciate what you've done. You've developed some players.
He's a good players development coach. They just need a guy with more structure now, right?
Yeah, we're making progress. We need some structure, and we need potentially a new voice to take this thing over the top. So I don't think he's a bad coach by any standard. I actually think he's probably a really good coach to take over a young team that's got no expectations, and maybe you can develop some of those offensive players. I mean, look what he did with Tage Thompson, but in terms of trying to make that next step, make that next jump, and make the playoffs and get that monkey off your back. I mean, I was never sold this season from what I saw that he was going to be the guy to do that.
I think when it comes to, because they didn't name a replacement. Like they didn't name a replacement immediately.
No.
2 guys that we're looking at, I think are also 2 guys that would be good fits there.
Well, the first name that comes to my mind is my favorite coach in this cycle.
Dean Evison.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
he would be a perfect fit there.
He'd be a phenomenal fit.
And I think
Hope it doesn't happen. I hope he comes to Columbus, but
yeah, exactly. And I think
he would
Berube
be.
would too.
Oh yeah, either one. Yeah, either
Craig
one.
Berube would very much be a very good coach for that Sabres team.
The one concern I would have if I was a Sabres fan is nostalgia.
Yeah. What do you mean?
I beg.
Oh, going back to Lindy now that he's
I
gone?
beg the Sabres, don't do it. Don't do
Well,
it.
that's very funny because didn't Alex and Neil both say something about Lindy going over to Buffalo?
Yeah, a lot of Devils fans have talked about it, and like I said, my buddy Adam wrote an article today up in Buffalo, and it was like potential replacement options for Don Granato, and naturally number one was Lindy Ruff, and
You gotta be really careful when you're having so many reunions with a guy.
I beg of you, Sabres, don't.
How?
Don't.
Because how many times has Lindy gone from Buffalo to Jersey, back to Buffalo to Jersey to like he's flip flopped between the two of them?
No, he hasn't.
It feels like he has.
He only stayed with Buffalo once.
Weirdly, it feels like Lindy had gone back and forth and back and
He
forth.
was in Buffalo for a long time, up until I want to say 2013, and then he went to Dallas.
Oh, that's right. He was in Dallas before Montgomery,
Dallas.
right?
Yeah, before the Devils job. So
Right, and then he left Dallas, and Jim Montgomery came into Dallas, and right.
yeah. So he only had the one stint with the Sabres.
Just makes me think because there are a lot of guys that have either gone to the KHL at this point that obviously wouldn't make good coaches for where the Sabres are now, but like they're at least names that you could throw into the ring.
Yeah. Obviously, everybody's gonna be looking at a guy like Jay Woodcroft.
Jay Woodcroft, yep.
You mentioned Craig Berube. These are interesting names.
It's gonna be weird because right now I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what really they need.
Yeah, I am
Like
at
what does Kevin Adams want, right?
To me, they've done a really good job building up offensive talent, and even on defense, they've built up some talent, but it's very raw. I think you need someone who can establish a structure to help your players along, and if they can play more structured hockey and play within a defensive system, I think their games can take off. I think that's the one thing that Don Granato was lacking a little
That's
bit.
what you need when you have those offensive left siders and then you have the right side guys that are just kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see where they take that. Really, really quickly, the Canadiens called up Logan Mailloux, and that's because the NHL released a bland PR statement saying that he's gone through stuff, but like, what stuff has he gone through in order to warrant this?
Well, I don't expect the NHL to be incredibly transparent about anything, so I didn't make anything of their statement.
But let us know what he's done if he's done anything.
Well, I don't necessarily doubt that he has done things. At the end of the day, I think I don't agree with everything he said, but the one thing I agree with Frank Serengeti on his tweet was
that tweet was
that,
awful.
well, the one thing that I agree with him though is it's up to Logan Mailloux to show the change.
Right. That is the one thing that I will give him credit for saying.
It's a difficult conversation, isn't it?
It's very difficult because like
there's a lot of angles.
Up until now, it's like how do you even take this from a human perspective?
Well, playing in the NHL is a privilege. It's
It
not
is.
a right.
And it looks like they've given him more of that in terms of a right. because we don't know. We as fans deserve to know what this kid has done to improve. We never knew, obviously, until like we knew that Mitchell Miller didn't do jack shit. And the Bruins went ahead and did that.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the room was smart enough to say, hey, get rid of him.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the other difference is like, and not to, I know we're comparing apples and oranges here, but one has shown at the very least verbal remorse, whether or not actions being taken in terms of how you approach that. I guess the difficult situation here is the thing that's hard for me to talk about, because there's so much about this that we don't know, is like, you say he's taking steps, and I'm actually going to take them at their word for that he is taking steps. But my question is, what steps are taken to repair the situation? Because who is to say that all the things that he's going through, what effect does it have on the person whose life he affected?
What does this have on the woman that he was with?
Yes, like that my mind goes to that. But another thing that is, and there's really no way of getting around this, Jake. That's a very uncomfortable part of this conversation. Is there's two different, I don't know if I want to say sides, but there's two different perspectives, and sometimes I think people kind of lean in the middle of them.
Right.
One is, some people say, well, I mean, he was only 17, which I think is a bit of horseshit. You should know better at the age of 17.
You can learn at 17. You can know better at 17.
You can know better at 17. At the same time, you are not the same person at 17 as, say, even a few years later, especially not 10, 20, 30 years later. People can learn. So I guess the uncomfortable question that nobody has an answer to is, if the whole point of this is healing, how do we go about that? Is barring this kid from the NHL really the solution? But as uncomfortable as I am of barring a kid from playing pro hockey over one incident, it's a horrible incident. At the same time, I'm also fucking uncomfortable with a guy who committed a sex crime playing in the NHL.
Exactly.
So it's a hurricane of so many different ethical and moral questions that we don't have answers to, that mix together, and it's just a shitstorm that is just so uncomfortable to talk about because there's no answer.
And we won't really find out until next October.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Unless they do something over the summer. So that's all we really know. He'll play in Laval if they make the playoffs and whatever.
Yeah, I saw him play with Laval earlier this season when I went to Rochester. Like, I guess the thing here that most people want, including you just said it, and I'd like to see this too, is, I know that when you do a good thing, when you go to charity, when you donate your time or something like that,
Try to
it's not
expedite this. We got one more thing to talk about really fast. So yep.
It's not supposed to be for show, but at the same time, we as people deserve to see what he's doing and what actual change is happening. That's all.
That's yes. So we'll see how this unfolds over the following months.
Yeah.
And we'll see where his career goes.
Yeah.
So the last thing we want to say is, obviously, first and foremost, farewell to our buddy Jeff Rimmer. He had an illustrious 47-year career. He said, I've had 47 years as an NHL broadcaster, but I'm a Blue Jacket for life.
Yes, and that's 100% true. And
he read the lineup card today. He did everything today, and it was amazing for him to call a win in his last game.
Yeah. Really cool that he got to call a win in his last game, that he got to call a win on Jeff Rimmer night. I know the season has sucked ass as well as the previous season, but the team has, over the course of his Blue Jackets career, he has had some fine moments. to call and be a part of, and he's
Go
always
watch
been
our last show for that.
family, and I can't thank him enough for what he has done. It's he says it's his honor to have had the Blue Jackets job of being play-by-play guy, but I would argue that it's our honor to have had him.
To have been able to celebrate him. And we wish him all the best. And hopefully, like, if he sticks around the city, maybe we'll get to see him around.
Yeah, I don't doubt that he's going to go anywhere, to be honest with you, unless he wants to retire in Florida or some shit like that.
Or go home to Calgary or something.
Yeah.
But the other guy we need to say goodbye to is a guy that we've kind of beloathed, but at the same time is very fun. And that's
I love Jack Edwards.
Yeah. So Jack is also retiring when the Bruins are done this year.
Yeah. Jack is a fun one because whether you liked him or you hated him, you talked about him. He
always
and
talked about a brilliant home broadcaster.
Well, yes, a home, and that's what he was, a home broadcaster. And what I loved about him was he was Boston personified.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't have picked a better fucking broadcaster for Boston.
Him and Brickley together were like the perfect pair.
Yeah. No doubt about it. He's had an unbelievable career. He's done it for such a long time. Unfortunately, we saw throughout the course of this season that
he's got like speech issues and stuff.
Yeah, so I don't want to speculate of what could be going on there, but it's time to step away, and I'm glad he's doing it. I know that some people hate him. I personally like him. I think
he's fine.
I think he's so entertaining. I can't.
Yeah, he's entertainment. That's the point.
Exactly, and I'm always going to respect him for that. So, kudos to an unbelievable career to Jack Edwards.
Farewells to Rims. Glad they got the win for Jeff. Farewell to Jack when you're done, and we'll see how many more Bees games we get with Jack Edwards.
Yeah,
it's gonna be very strange to get new voices.
It is, especially for Boston. I'm very curious what direction they go there.
Only one way to find out, and we'll find out over the course of the playoffs and the summer. On Saturday, we're doing a short little prediction show, and we will see y'all then. Thank you so much for a brilliant 2023-2024 season of Jake Jackets. And we're not going anywhere. We still got 150 coming up soon.
Yes, we do. Love you guys.
Love you guys. We'll see you later.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Gehringer, GARRINGER, and at by J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.